You could get them, but can you keep them?
When I walk, when I walk, when I walk, when I walk,
She all niggas. You're tuned in to Girl Stop Playin, and I'm your favorite homegirl, Koereyelle, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. I'm bringing you the information and the conversations to help you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And we have one of my favorite working women in the building. She ain't new to this. My girl is true to this. We got Chef Ahki in the studio. Hey, boo.
Cool. Hey, honey, how are you?
I am so good. When I was sitting here thinking just through this introduction, there's so many things that, and I didn't even give you a whole introduction. I'm gonna let you give yourself an introduction, but there's so many things that I could say of like my experience with you over the years. I think that we met through business. So you actually were a speaker at one of my events at Workplace, like 2017, 2018, something like that. Maybe it was 2016 because we went to Cuba together in 2017.
That was a
Y'all, the worst trip I ever went on in my life. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about. We're not gonna talk about that. We did bond. That was a bonding moment for us. That was the first time that I ever landed somewhere and immediately was ready to go home.
Yeah.
Like I was walked into the airport and was like, oh,
yeah,
nah.
yeah, same.
It was awful.
And it didn't get better.
It did not get better, girl. There was no upside to that trip.
It was the ocean, the clean ocean that seemed like it hadn't been touched in 50 years was probably the best part. But
yeah, no, it was very bad.
Wasn't worth
you know what though? It was definitely my fault because I brought it to you like, girl, let's go to Cuba.
She did.
I did. We got some cheap ass flights.
It's her
But
fault.
let me tell you why I ended up in Cuba. You know how I ended up there though?
What?
Them damn pictures. Everybody's photos, and y'all, this is what I thought.
The old
this is what you get for not doing your research. I saw everybody in the old school cars with all the colorful photos, and I'm thinking, oh, that looks like so much fun. Not realizing that they're not in those cars for fun.
yes,
Those are their vehicles.
they don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice. It was like being in a time machine, like back
Yes,
to
it
the
was.
50s. It was absolutely crazy.
Post-war vibes everywhere.
Very much so.
Like the
Y'all
place
don't know what's
stopped.
going on in the rest of the world.
Yes.
Y'all don't even realize how far behind you are. That was crazy.
Yeah, and it really showed me the power that Americans have to just
Cut your asses
dismantle
off.
and control a country.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
So let's start with the what's the word?
Repatriation.
Repatriation. Because I think Cuba very much so gives me like that to me is what I feel like my life would be like if I leave the United States.
Understood. I think a lot of people have that idea as well.
Am I wrong?
You are wrong.
Okay, help me. Get me
You
right.
are wrong. So, to each his own when it comes to lifestyle, right? And I think that as Americans, we do get used to a lot of creature comforts. And for me, I really needed a balance because I do like my creature comforts, and there's certain things
Girl,
that
what's
I
a
just
creature comfort?
a creature comfort is just the all the little things. What we say are little, I'm sure they're huge to others.
Girl, like hot water. And
For example, most of my neighbors likely don't have a dryer. Instead, they
Belize.
dry their clothes outside. Yes, in Belize. So for me, that's a creature comfort that I truly enjoy. Why? Because I want that crispy, fresh, warm towel fresh out the shower. I personally really like that. Now, have I tried to say, well, let me see what this would be like just to hang my clothes out and see how it would be? The truth is, it's so hot and it's so breezy that by the time I took my clothes off the line, I realized half the stuff that I wear, it's also summery clothing. It's very thin, right? So half the time I end up not needing the dryer unless it's my blankets and towels. So, there's creature comforts sometimes have to do with your environment.
Got you.
So I'm learning.
What's another something that we probably take for granted?
Oh man, I could tell you so many things. I would say one of the things is that in a lot of countries, third world countries, the electricity will turn off randomly, okay? Now, in truth, it's nowhere near as bad where I am as I've heard it can be in certain countries in Africa, et cetera. Where I am in the 3 years that I've been in Belize, it's turned off maybe 3 times.
How long is it staying off?
And it's usually on an average maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
So this is not extreme, but it is abrupt. And it is like, whoa, I was just into that Netflix movie. What just happened here? Well, and then we look outside and we see the whole town's dark and people are just go out on their porch and have a beer and wait for 10 minutes and go back in and start life. And it's become kind of fun to me when it happens. I'm like, oh,
Let's just have
it
a party,
happened
block
again.
party outside.
Oh, we just gotta relax. you know?
Wow.
So it's not huge, but it is different.
Very different. Okay, what is the, and I feel like there's, when I think of this conversation, it's almost like the type of traveler that you are, because you know you got some type of travelers like me. I want to be on the resort, like unlimited. I'm like an unlimited, all-inclusive
Yes.
resort type of girl. I don't want to think
Yes.
about anything. I don't want to pay for anything extra. Everything's already covered. Let's just do it. That's me.
Yep.
Some travelers are more like adventure travelers, or they want to
True.
get out. They want to be with the locals. They want to like immerse
Yes,
themselves in the culture. I feel like you are probably more on the cultural side than the all-inclusive side. So for you, I assume that this was an easier transition. Because you are very much so, the retreats that you do, right? They're very much so, I think, because I have not personally been, but they seem like they're very immersed into nature. Like you're with the locals, you know, like you're doing all of these things.
Well, I try to keep a really good balance because I understand who I'm serving. And I think that Black women, I must say, we are some of the pickiest.
We are.
When it comes
like
to
what we
just
like.
everything. We like what we like. And so I get it, you know, so I really try to serve them in that way and give them the best of both worlds. All of my retreats are at 5-star luxury resorts, period, point blank. I know for me, a big thing is sheets. Beds. If that bed's not soft and those sheets are not soft, I just cannot do it. I just can't do it. So I look for that, and then I try to kind of work with the resort to give my girls an immersive experience option. So maybe out of that 6 days, you know, we'll have one day where we do a jungle trail and we see something historical and we go to a waterfall and we can do all of our beautiful feminine rites, sacred rituals.
Singing in the jungle.
You know,
That's what I say. I could be singing in the jungle,
I
baby.
be singing in the jungle, honey. And so we do all of those things because that's the goal really of the S&W retreat, is to give women a place to heal outside of their natural environment. And sometimes to heal, we gotta get out of what we're used to. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it's not a lot of women that could say, I walked into the forest for a whole day by myself and just let God talk to me. Sometimes you need to take your ass and just go be quiet.
Have you been to a, is it called a silent retreat? Have
Yes,
you been
I
to one
have.
of those?
Yes, I have.
How long did you do it?
Yes, I have. I was at a silent retreat for 5 days. And I went because I was asked to serve at that retreat as a chef. Okay. So I was a silent chef. Okay. But they gave me they gave me the most beautiful room in this beautiful home. And it was overlooking the mountains, and I had a beautiful sun deck that I could tan on. And what we would do is when it was time to say any words at the end of the evening, there would be a bell. And we would hear the bell and we would know, okay, we're going to gather for dinner and we're going to say, this is how our day went in silence. And to be honest, it was the most absolutely peaceful and beautiful experience just for people to just shut up. Was so good for me.
In theory, I feel like that would not be the worst thing ever, but 5 days. It seems like
extreme.
Is it like fasting? How like once you get through like the first day or day 2, it's like you got it. Is it like that? Like once you get through the initial.
I think it depends on the kind of woman you are and where you are in your own evolution and journey, honestly, because for me at that time, there was a time in my life where I think it would have felt that way. But for me at the time, I was a new mom. I had had a crying, crazy baby. I was tired. I had so many books I wanted to read, so many things I wanted to write about. I'm a thinker. I'm a visionary. So for me, it was like, oh, good riddance. Great. Okay. Well, now I can get to what I really want to do, which is to write my life journey, my life plans. I get to read my favorite books. I get to tan in the sun. I get to hear all my favorite music. I get to write songs and sing to myself. I'm never bored. So for me, it was divine.
It was good. It was good.
Divine.
Okay. So at your retreats, what are some of the return to yourself activities that you're doing with these ladies?
Great question. So we have a day of silence on the retreat. And I feel like out of all the amazing things we do, it's one of the most impactful. Because women just don't get a day of silence. Just not one damn day of silence. So that's one of the things. I think one of the other things that we do on a retreat is something called Chigong. And I teach Qigong to women to help them to do stress management, to get stress out of their bodies.
What is it? What is Qigong?
So Qigong basically just means it's life force energy that you're manipulating in the body through movement. So it's life force energy movement. So in these practices, you'll basically have very specific positioning, and through rooting into the ground, which is how I do it, getting them barefoot in the ground. I take them through a series of breathwork exercises and specific movements to target certain areas of the body to release pain and stress and anger. And you'll see some of this in the video clips that I promote these retreats. But it's very, very powerful because we are holding pain all throughout our bodies, all throughout
the
so
hips,
much stress.
right? I always hear about the hips.
Oh, definitely.
Like trauma. And what is that?
For me, it's the neck, the shoulders, but definitely the hips, the head. We do tapping exercises where we are tapping our meridians and opening all of our chakras and portals. But the hip area, this is very, very intense for women because we hold a lot of pain when it comes to childbirth. I know for me, my hips hurt for 3 years after I gave birth.
Really?
Oh my God. I had to I still have to get chiropractic work just to keep things balanced. And it depends. I have inverted hips, which makes it hard to give birth, in fact. Whereas, like they say, childbearing hips, the blood, like Koereyelle here.
Yeah.
Sister got the childbearing hips, her hips go out. So maybe a little easier for you, difficult for me. So we hold a lot of trauma there through different types of sexual experiences and all those things.
Plant medicine. Let's talk about it because the people are talking about it, but are they talking about it with the right people? There's a lot of misinformation out here on these internet streets.
Yeah.
And I can vouch for you, right? I think that's important. Let's talk about that too, having people on these platforms that you can't vouch for.
Yeah.
Okay, we can vouch for Ahki. I know that you are not just out here doing something you heard about, right? There's certain things that you've experienced yourself personally several times over before you start introducing them publicly, right? So just talk briefly about what plant medicine is and maybe like some of the types of plant medicine for people who may be unfamiliar.
Understood. So plant medicine, first of all, this is in what I would call ancient technology. This is indigenous technology. Indigenous people have been so openly and so divinely connected to nature in such a way that they were able to intuit certain plants to bring together that would create what we consider a psychedelic or spiritual experience. And in that experience, people are able to address many different things. They're able to address life traumas. They're able to address addiction. They're able to address all types of, PTSD, different types of pain, and fear. And this is something that has been very hidden for a long time, but it's certainly become popular, I would say, just in the last decade or so, more than ever. But these medicines, for me, what's so important is that not only are they sacred, but they can be very helpful as a healthy or natural replacement for some of the very harmful drugs that we are being told is going to help us to get over some of these things, but they're not addressing the root causes.
It's pacifying the
It's
problem.
very much pacifying the issue, right? So that to me was my interest. That's how I got involved with it, because I really wanted to understand not only how to address any residual hurt or pain that I may be carrying in this life or from the last life, but also I wanted to understand how I could help clients and help loved ones to start to heal themselves, because I worked with people that no matter what I taught them about, exercise, diet, they were not able to truly heal themselves. I don't care. I've worked with cancer patients. I've worked with people with sickle cell. I've had so many people that they had emotional trauma that they were holding on to. So I figured maybe through plant medicine, I could help them to overcome some of the mental, spiritual issues so we could help the body to heal.
And I think that's the importance of even talking about these resources, I guess, these non-traditional or things that us culturally, because truly we are the originators of a lot of these things, but it's gotten lost over the years and through the generations, to the point where now so many people are like this is witchcraft. This is, you know, all of these negative connotations when this was the original. Like, I know you didn't think that these pharmaceutical companies have been around for that long, right? So what do you think the medicine lady was doing?
Absolutely.
Like, what do you think people were doing before westernized whatever came along?
Specifically for mental health. Because how much trauma have we all seen? You know, I'll speak specifically. My grandmother, for example, my grandmother was a nurse and a mother of 5. One of her children was special needs, and one of her children, her only son, was burned in a house fire, 85% of his body. Now, I'm a mother of a boy, you're a boy mom. We know when our child don't breathe right, the way that feels. It's traumatic. You feel like you're oh my God. And so when I think about what that would do to a woman's pain body who still has to show up for all 4 of her children and a special needs one, I think about her having to show up at work and smile, her having to show up with her husband and her church family, etc. What that took from her in strength. So when I think about what we've passed down in trauma, fear, just being in an environment where racism has been the majority of the experience for Black people in America alone, brown people have such need for these medicines. That also for me was a huge interest, and I can proudly say that I have personally brought in maybe over 2,000 to 3,000 people into plant medicine, Black and brown people here in the Midwest and the South. I'm one of the first Black women, to bring plant medicine to the Black community. And
it's such important, such necessary work that you're doing, and then having the conversation to educate people about it, because otherwise, you know, that little thing will pop up on Instagram, the fact checkers. That's what I feel like our lives have been full of, like those fact checkers that are trying to tell you something that they don't even know. They don't know the truth, but they want to fact check what they think you got going on, and just steering the conversation in different ways. And then people are truly suffering because they are afraid of what could truly save them or heal them, at least. But we're so caught up in the fact that, you know, our doctors are the end all be all. Our doctors have our best interest at heart. The pharmacist down at the pharmacy is going to save your life. And that is not the case. And so I think just having these conversations about there being alternatives, right? You don't have to only, you know, there's more than one way, I guess, to find a solution to the problem.
You got options. And I think it's important to note too that, you know, ayahuasca, psychedelic fungus, you know, all of these things, they're not necessarily tools that cure and fix anything per se. And I think that's very important, because people, you know, they may say, well, I knew this person and they did that, and, you know, their character is still flawed, or they're still dealing with trauma, you know. And I think that's important. I want to state that these things open the door for more possibilities of healing, maybe deeper possibilities of healing. But at the end of the day, the human will is still in effect, and divine will is still in effect, and you still have to choose your healing at the end of the day.
And have responsibility. Take some responsibility, accountability. I think is super important. One of the issues specific to women that keeps coming up is fibroids. And you've been, okay? She ain't new to this, y'all. Ahki is not talking about this stuff because it's popular, because it's trending on TikTok. You've been talking about this stuff when it wasn't cute, when it wasn't the cool thing to talk about. Right. So you have like the fibroid elimination diet. You've got all of the things, but base level information. What is a fibroid, and how does it like show up in our lives, I guess?
Great question. So yes, fibroids affects 1 in 3 women in the U.S., and this is really a pandemic of crazy proportions for Black women and women of color. And everyone wants to understand why there's this huge disparity, you know, with us. And the root of it, honestly, is lifestyle, it's environmental, and it's cultural. And it's definitely emotional, it's spiritual, and you really have to address the full body, the whole of a woman, in order to get rid of this. But a tumor is basically just an excessive tumor that is growing in and around the ovaries, and it creates a blockage for women for childbirth. It stores up all the nutrition in the body. It holds blood, and it creates heavy bleeding, pain. It can create infertility. And this is it's a huge problem for most women, and typically it's handled through surgery.
Just cut it out,
and
right?
hysterectomies, unfortunately. Yeah,
I literally saw someone post about their experience. They had just had a surgery. When I tell you, there were over 100 comments of women that were like, "Yeah, mine's scheduled for 2 weeks from now," or "I had mine last summer," or "Girl, and I'm sorry,
Yes.
what? This is just
Every
y'all are
time.
just ordering them up like
yes.
how?
Every time I talk
What is
about
happening?
this, that is the case. Women are like, "Whoa, man, I wish I would have read this before I just got out." "Oh yeah, I just got mine is scheduled for next week." I mean, it's so normal.
Crazy.
Absolutely. Well, this is what happens again, like you said, when we have a culture that we believe wholly and fully on the medical system to treat an issue that is in fact preventable, that is in fact possible for you to shrink and eliminate your fibroid. I don't care what anybody tells you, it's true. I've experienced it with many, many women. We've had a woman who shrunk up to 40 fibroids in her body, and had children. So this can happen. You don't have to go under the knife in order to heal, but it has become common because it's the convenience and the lack of knowledge and education.
And it's like the quick route, right? It's like the weight loss surgery versus the weight loss journey. The weight loss
Absolutely.
journey, like getting in the gym versus going to have.
Because it's a journey and a lifestyle change.
And we don't want to stop eating what we do, right? Because when you tell someone, okay, you can heal this naturally, but you're gonna have to cut out this, and this. It's like, no, I'll just go get the surgery.
Absolutely.
But then they can grow back, which is what I just found out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you get this surgery and don't change your lifestyle, and then you can end up back in the same.
Oh yeah,
situation.
you know what I call little monsters. These literally little monsters, because if you've seen a fibroid, you can Google this.
They're pretty ugly.
They're really nasty, and sometimes they even have like teeth and hair, and it's very, very, very interesting. And I talk about this in my book, Fibroid Elimination Recipe Guide. I have a digital series that we're actually just finished producing, editing, that's coming out, the Fibroid Elimination Lifestyle Guide. And this, it's a lifestyle, and it does take discipline, it does take work. But if you look at it, sisters who are listening, if you're dealing with a reproductive ailment issue, fibroids, you need to change your lifestyle anyway, because as Koereyelle just stated, they can come back. So you may go do the surgery, but that's not going to address the root issue. And the root issue, when it comes down to it, is excessive estrogen, is stress, it's lifestyle.
And when you it's a rabbit hole, right? I watched What the Health in 2012. Totally changed my life.
Yeah.
I didn't get off track. I probably need to go back again. Right? I probably need to go back and scare myself again to get back on track. But there's so many things fighting against us every single day. Outside of the food that we eat. That's probably the
Yes.
hardest thing to give up, but drinking out of a plastic water bottle.
Yeah.
You know, there's estrogen in so many things that it's like,
Yes.
but we don't know. So
Yes.
if you don't even know that, you know, that there's estrogen in things outside of like what you're eating, then you could think you're doing right, but then you're
Yes.
still
And you're still not
You're
on
still
point.
not.
You know, we do all the research on making sure we have the best credit card. We got our Sky Miles. You know, we got the best, you know, hotels, resorts, vacations, hair, nails. We're going to do all the research, making sure these hair and these nails is together and it's whatever. You know, we've got to get our values together. And that to me is what it comes down to, is our value system is messed up. So if you're going to go and spend, you know, $500 on a bag or a pair of shoes, then you may want to consider your $150 grocery bill and go to Whole Foods or go to Sprouts or go and create relationships with your local farmers and local gardeners, because this is what's going to actually save your life and the quality of your life. And I used to have a lot of people that would say, "Oh, well, Chef Ahki, you know, nobody's going to live forever. You know, we all going to die from something." You know, and I would say, well, surely we know that, but I don't want nobody wiping my behind when I'm getting ready to get up out of here. I don't know about y'all. I don't want nobody trying to tell me what I need to do with my money, because now I'm senile because I have so much lead in my brain. I don't want to not be able to hold my grandbabies because my fingers don't work because they're curled from arthritis. I don't want to be in pain. I want to thrive throughout my life. And I got plenty to do. I have the big life to live, so I want the quality of my life. And I'm trying to be young, fine, and juicy for a long time,
Come on,
honey.
fine and juicy.
Yes.
Fine and juicy for as long as we possibly can. It's funny that you said we got to get our values together, because that makes me think of the whole high value man, high value woman conversation.
Come on.
So I put up a post that was like, you know, if this high value man shows up in this way, he has all of the money, not that much time, and he gonna cheat on you. Versus the man that might not be considered high value, makes a quarter of the money this man makes, got all the time in the world for you, and is faithful and loyal. Who you gonna pick? And the conversation was, well, what is high value? Because if you don't have no morals and values, how can you be a high value man? I don't think high earning and high value are the same, but that to me is the conversation. It's like,
Facts.
that's the definition of high value, is you got money in the bank, so you're a high value man. But
Absolutely.
are you a high value woman if you really don't value your like your internal systems? Are you high value if you are wearing, you know, you drip down to the socks, designer everything, but you don't care about your health, your wellness, your spirit is not right?
Come on.
How can you consider yourself high value? I think that the internet, Instagram, reality TV has just skewed our perception of like being a good person.
Yes.
Like that is valuable, being
Very
a good
much.
person. And I think, luckily, the frauds are starting to be exposed. I think we're starting to see like who's really good people and what are you valuing? Because you get to decide what is high value based on what you
Yes.
value.
Absolutely. That's an amazing conversation that is necessary. This is something I wanted to touch on for a long time, because that was the first thought I had when I first saw our beloved brother who's passed away now, Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. I don't wish nothing bad on you, but him perpetuating that idea out into the Black community of high value male being strictly based on your income is ridiculous. Do you know how many wealthy men have been left because their prostate is toe up and they have ED and they cannot perform? So she done ran off with half your money, high value brother, and she is giving the cookies to Pookie and Ray Ray, fresh out the county, okay? Because she is being satisfied, okay? So that conversation was always ridiculous to me as far as value is concerned, because we understand that the number one value is you gotta love God, and that's how I feel about it. And to me, loving God means, so we can address all the spooky people in the room. If y'all think I'm being spooky, I'm not referring to that. I'm saying love God, meaning you love truth, you love wisdom, you love integrity, you love high moral character. If it ain't about divine law, divine order, divine union, divine marriage, then we're not talking about nothing. You don't have no integrity.
You don't have no value.
You don't have no value to me.
That part. So who has value to you these days, Ahki? Is Ahki single out in these streets? Let's talk about it.
I am single.
Ahki said she want to talk about these niggas, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Ahki's single.
I
Okay.
am single. Yeah, I'm single. And I was on what's your brother's podcast,
Finesse.
girl? Jonathan. Child, he's so funny to me. He's so cute. He's so funny.
He's so cute.
He is so cute. He is so cute. I mean, he's that's
was he flirting with you?
We're not
was
in
he
the
flirting
same
with you
arena.
when you did his
He was not. He was not
wasn't?
flirtatious. No, he said you're so beautiful. He treated me like a
He
queen.
is very different off camera than
He
he
is
is.
very
much
different.
so like playing a role.
Oh, absolutely.
Very
You know,
much so.
he totally. And I get it. I dig it.
It's
Do your
working.
thing,
It
brother.
works.
It works, right? But no, real Jonathan was very respectful. You know, you recognize a queen when you see one, and that's fine. And I was respectful. And I think that, you know, brothers know when it's
Who they
safe.
can play with, right? That part.
They know who they can play with and who they can't. So that, and he said that. He said it must be difficult for you, and that the men that you would even consider, it's like a 0.001% chance, because you are a plant-based woman. You are a woman of value and integrity. You're not trying to play no games. You are a woman who has a career. You know, you're a world traveler. You're a global consciousness woman,
Cultured woman,
spiritually
yes.
conscious, cultured woman, and most people don't recognize, but I'm actually very revolutionary. I'm very much a black first kind of woman, and that's something that I really bond with Koereyelle on. Is she's all about her community, and I'm that kind of woman as well. So even a brother that had that doesn't have that,
won't stand a chance.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Who would work? Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh, I love this. Celebrity crush. If I had a celebrity crush, it would possibly be someone like, oh God, this is so.
It's not that hard, Ahki. Who is it? Tell us.
There are celebrities that are gorgeous to me, but I just can't crush on you because I don't know your value system. I don't know how you get
Okay,
down.
let's say they have great value.
Aesthetically, I mean, okay, value aesthetically, who I think is a beautiful brother. I think Method Man is
Girl,
a
I
beautiful
was about
brother.
to say, let me go first, and it was gonna be Method Man. Damn it.
But Method Man got the jab. So did
he?
Method Man got the jab, honey.
Because
so.
that's why Redman didn't do this. Yeah.
See now now
that
I'm
would be a deal
side-eyeing
breaker.
you.
So let's talk about that because
I
this
can't
is a safe
do it.
space to talk about that. Is it? Can you say jab? Will YouTube block us?
No, I don't think so.
Let's call it
What can we call it?
You can't poke. As if jab
like
and poke are
Let's
not the
do
same.
poke.
Okay, so that during the pandemic, that definitely separated people.
Absolutely.
It drew a line in the sand. Either you over here,
Line in the sand.
or you are a conspiracy theorist, crazy person. Where we were definitely playing in the crazy pool, right? We playing in the crazy pool
right here.
Now the world has shown that we weren't so crazy, right?
That's right.
But I was saying to my husband, we were very much so on the same page.
Good.
The pandemic is going to expose, though, what side were you on? And a lot of relationships and marriages did not last because people were like, wait a minute, you believe what? Wait a minute, you doing what? Wait
That
a
is a
minute.
fact.
They were not on the same page. And I for sure remember thinking like, oh my God, dating right now? Having
what you
to
wanna do.
have those tough conversations about what you
Yes.
believe, what you're willing to do.
Yes.
So would that be... I'm just asking you another answer. Would that be a deal breaker for you today? Someone who
It is.
took the pokey.
It is
the
a deal
hokey
breaker.
pokey.
I had a beautiful, intelligent brother that I was recently chatting with, and I was hesitant to ask.
Because you don't want to know the truth.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to even know the truth. And as I kind of crept into, and he said, yeah, I was forced. And that's what pissed me off.
That part. So
because this is an amazing brother, and he was forced in his
So
situation.
it's not okay even if he was forced?
No. Because now we have a biological problem. That to me is too great to play with, and I cannot play. I feel like this. I have superb DNA, and we want to keep it
that
clean
way.
and tight like that.
We want to keep it. I mean, God, I hope this video don't get flagged and taken down. But we're here now. We in it. So here we go.
We in the sauce.
The consequences, like the threats behind it all, the fact that they were letting people out of jail early if they, agreed to.
Yes.
It was just so much crazy stuff that I felt like I have to be living in a simulation.
Honey, they was giving out fried chicken and strip dances.
Free donuts. They were.
Krispy Kreme
They were.
and popsicles. I said, what in the hell?
And at some point, your common sense has to say, you know what? If they giving out anything, like I know your parents taught you when you were young. If somebody's just handing out free, you don't want to take it. It's contaminated. It's
Something
tainted.
right.
And now the fact that they will say like specify like we want blood from people like if you're donating blood, non-vaccinated blood or it's like
Yes.
So we're superior at this point because we are not genetically modified. We're non-GMO.
Yeah, we're non-GMO over here. I'm gonna get the T-shirt. And it's no shade because my heart truly goes out to several people who I know did not want to do it, and for their livelihood. I mean, this is a civil issue. This is a legal issue, if you ask me. But you cannot force people or coerce people.
That's
right?
what it was, coercion.
That's what it was. It was a coercion, and that to me is where we got a bigger issue now. Okay.
Yeah, because personal freedom is that whole my body, my choice, that went right out the window.
Right. We were just the year before yelling my body, my choice. And now
you don't have no choice. Your body belongs to us. and you got to do what we say if you want to work this job, or if you want to
Yes.
go. I mean, it got so crazy to the point
Really
where
bad.
it was literally like, okay, like you said, it's me, you or me. Like, I have to choose myself, and so many people were not in a space financially or logically to choose themselves. They got caught up in the fear mongering, which is, you gonna die if you don't do this, and now it's like, well, you might die because you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. There was so much misinformation going on at that time, and there was so much flagging. I just saw a video from Mark Zuckerberg where he specifically said that we just didn't know what to do, and now we see that we put out a lot of information that wasn't wholly true, and we flagged
And you stopped information that was.
That's what he said. We flagged information that could have actually been helpful, but it was too much, too fast, and we just didn't know what to do. So we just stood on the side of whatever.
And they were being directed on what to do also.
And the science.
That part.
That part. And so for me, my standard of life and personal code, because we got to have some personal code. Same way we got to have some values, we got to get on code, like my boy Tyreek say. We got to have some code. And for me, the code of the universe is that I trust nature first and foremost. I trust God. I trust Creator. The end. Now, everything else after that, if I'm in a situation where I done broke my knees and my legs and y'all going to have to sew me back together, we going to figure it out, and you ain't going to do it unless I get the jab, then I'm going to have the poke, then I'm going to have to make a different decision. But in my full autonomy and health, I'm going to choose nature, and I'm going to take these herbs. I caught COVID 3 times.
Did you?
3 times. My son twice. My mate twice. And I said, Ahki, what are we gonna do? We better get our oregano oil, get our colloidal silver, get our quercetin, what we call the Z stack, get that quercetin, get that vitamin C, get that vitamin D, get that zinc, and go through it. And I had toilet paper from one end of the house to the other until it was over. And I laid out in the sun every day, and I drank my vitamin C, and I did what I had to do. And it was not fun, but something was in the air. Because it was real. At first, I didn't think it was even real. Remember, we thought if we was black, we wasn't gonna get it.
You ain't getting it yet. Yeah.
But
that theory went out.
That theory went right out the door, because my chest was like, I was like,
The crazy thing though is eventually was like, okay, you go get tested, you positive, but they still sending you home. There's still nothing to do. There's still no cure.
There's no remedy, really.
There's no remedy. So what are you gonna do anyway? You're still gonna get the oil of oregano. You're still gonna get you a ginger shot. You're still gonna try to figure it out because there's no solution. They're just taking note, I guess, of your positive status and sending you home.
And that's with everything almost. And we always have to keep that in mind. People are so quick to go run to the doctor, but you don't have no real life plan about how you're gonna heal yourself. And you're fully relying on someone else. I remember, and I think I told you, when my child was about 1, and my child's uncircumcised, okay? Y'all don't come for me. I got my reasons. And so he went to the...
You see, I didn't say anything. My husband already talked to me. Go ahead.
And there you have it. So now, my baby stayed with his family, and they didn't understand how to clean his penis properly. He was very young, and so he got an infection. And with this infection, honey, when I opened that diaper, it was like, oh my God, what is kind of alien infestation going on here? It was crazy. It freaked me out. And I got so scared that I ran right to the doctor, right?
That's what we do. We get scared and go to the doctor.
That's right. And they started poking on my baby and doing all kind of stuff. And he was screaming bloody murder, and I was losing it. And they prescribed some medicine. I took this antibiotic. I went home. I gave him half of it. And I got a phone call a couple hours later, and they said, man, we're so sorry we gave you the wrong prescription. And I said, you did what? And I'm like, well, what did I just give my son? And they're like, well, come on back up here and get the other prescription. I said, okay. I go up there, and they say, ma'am, here. I said, well, here's the previous bottle. Give me the other one. They said, okay, that's going to be another $100. And I said, so I don't get a refund for the wrong prescription? They were like, no. I said, you know what? Keep your bottle.
The nerve of y'all.
Keep your bottle. Thanks for the message. And I realized in that moment, Ahki, you got this. This ain't nothing but a bacteria. You know what to do. And what did I do? I went home and got my herbs. I got everything I need. I made my little poultice, put it on my baby, and by the morning, his penis was just fine. He was back to normal. And right then I said, I cannot play both sides. I'm going to have to make a choice about, am I going to get freaked out and run to the doctor every time? And I got to rely on these people to potentially poison my child and make it worse than it was.
That is the crazy. This whole medical malpractice. Like, if we really started doing research on the medical malpractice, the fact that these doctors are literally practicing,
Yes.
right, on you, with you, hoping that whatever they prescribe you is going to fix the problem. But we all know it's not going to actually fix the problem. It's going to pacify the problem and lead you to the next drug for them to prescribe.
Yes.
It's just this revolving door of foolishness because we're giving all of the responsibility, all of the power over to these people who are paid by pharmaceutical companies to prescribe these pills.
Well, see, when you say that, you know, we in murky waters. You know what I'm saying, sister? We're in dangerous waters and dangerous territory when you talk like that, because this is what I experienced when I released my TED Talk, you know. And I was so excited to do my TED Talk. And I said, whoa, I'm going to make sure everybody sees this TED Talk. It's going to be the most amazing 17 minutes of indigenous wisdom and knowledge. And I put this TED Talk together, and, you know, they flagged it. They flagged it, and it went out. But on their page, they flagged it and took it down eventually. And that's because of this very conversation, that when we start talking about how we can help ourselves and heal ourselves, and we get into the history and the foundation of the medical system and what's at the root of it, this is, we have to learn to have autonomy in everything. That means our agricultural systems, our medical systems, our mental health systems, our spiritual systems, the way that we do relatedness, you know, how we do therapy and counseling for relationships and marriage, those systems. These are all systems of operating and code and value that we have to get back to, or we are fully leaving it up to chance. And this is why I love what our brother Dr. Umar video just went viral.
I was coming around the block. I'm coming around the block because we talk a lot about this back and forth between men and women, specifically black men and women. I'm gonna say specifically because I don't know what white people are doing over in their world. Right. But it's a lot of back and forth on these podcasts specifically. It's like, well, the men should do this, the women need to do that.
Crazy.
And there's no commonality of us saying, okay, instead of fighting each other, let's fight the problem.
Yes.
Right? Let's come up with a solution so that we can pull our families back together, which is what's important to me. It's not, okay, well, men need to do this, women need to do that. What do we both need to do so that we can come together and fix the family, which is the root and the foundation of all of this other stuff, right? So recap or summarize the Dr. Umar clip.
You know, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen, and the world has never seen black men have the voice and the platform in this way that we're seeing today. And it's very powerful, and it's very important. And I really commend men for being so expressive. I really do. And I watch all the stuff. I'm one of those girls. I like my medicine strong. You know, if I am out of line, out of order, out of my feminine balance, and men got something to say about it, I'm tuned in. I'm like, okay, so what we doing wrong? What I need to, you know, because I want to master myself truly. And so, and I have work to do. We all do. And so I listen, and I've been hearing for them and trying to hear for their heart and their soul and what they truly are asking for from us. What's happened is that now it's turned into a, let's just beat these women into the ground,
the red pill,
and just make them, just humble them to such a degree that now there's shame and there's guilt and there's so much pain, because at the root, that woman is saying, I didn't know how to be or what to do because I didn't have a dad. I didn't have no structure and order. When I look around in my community, I don't see men really being masculine. These guys are my home girls almost, right? Literally right now. And so there's the messaging that we're getting from a lot of the male podcasters in this gender war that's ridiculous, but they're not bringing it home for us to heal together. And that is what Umar did today. And I'm so grateful. And in surmising, what he said was that at the end of the day, you can go back and forth all you want to with these women about the choices that she makes and how she shows up. But you, King, black man, are the leader of your community, if you are truly the man, the head, the masculine, the leader, then it's fully your responsibility to get your house in order. And the women and the children are your house. And the men attempted to say, well, it's not my responsibility. She went out and had them kids. I ain't got nothing to do with me. She got with Pookie and Ray Ray. And he said Pookie and Ray Ray should not exist.
That part.
Black man, because it don't matter what she did or who those kids belong to. These are all our children, and you are speaking individualism. And that, to me, is the cultural break that is at the root of the issue that Black Americans are having, because everybody else knows who they are. They know who they are, they know where they're going, and they're working together for the one goal as a whole. We are still stuck in individualism where we want to get something for us and me and mines, and good luck to the rest of y'all. And we have to have a holistic vision for Black people as a nation and a community, or we will continue to see what we're seeing.
That part. And I've said jokingly several times, like, I'm just basic Black, right? I can't go home to another place. I don't know the tribe that I come from. I don't have a family member off in Haiti that I don't have any of that, right? I don't know my lineage. And I think so many of us basic Black people who, this is all we know. If I can't name them, I don't know them, right? I don't have a family Bible that goes back 10 generations and I can pinpoint when they came here. I don't have all of that. And I think that is the root cause of a lot of what's missing in the Black community is we don't have a sense of community because we don't know. We don't have culture.
Yeah.
Black people, we talk culture, this, culture, that. We don't really have any culture.
We've been dismantled.
We don't have a language. We don't have not for real, right? We don't have a language. We don't have a religion that we know came from us, right? We know what was passed down to us from our oppressors. That's what we are repeating. And so I think because we don't have that sense of culture, we don't have a sense of community. Your kids are your kids. Good luck to y'all, but I'm taking care of what I need to take care of at my house versus thinking about this whole neighborhood as being my community. Or your kids are an extension of me because we're all a part of the same community. So what can I do to improve and enhance and add value back to everyone versus just feeling like I'm only responsible for mine? And I think in that clip specifically, he kind of humbled those men because it's like, well, how can you even claim to be a man if you're okay with any child going without? Because the men were basically saying, well, good luck. I'm going to go over here and create my own family, but, forget y'all. And it's like, well, how are you going to be the leader of a community when you don't actually care about the community?
Absolutely. Great point. That's exactly what was being said. And what you're talking about as far as community and culture is concerned, that is at the root of the issue, in that our culture has been fully dismantled and we do not touch and agree on how we should move forward and with what culture should we be moving forward in. And I think that it would be best for us to move past whether or not we are the same religion, we have the same amount of money, all of those things. None of that's going to get us nowhere. If we cannot agree on basic principles of living, we know for a fact that right now, if we needed to be fully sustainable with clothes, food, shelter, electricity, the basic health care, the basic things of life beyond your personal principles and all those things, beyond that, we are not even self-sufficient and sustainable in that. We were doing better in Tulsa, Oklahoma than what we're doing today. And we have more information, more resources, more. Right? But now we don't have the mentality to go with it.
That part.
And that is the part. So if we actually wanted to move forward and have real earth power, what I would consider global respect, you know what I'm saying? And that's why we always get our ass kicked. And going to jail, and then we get online and complain about it, and so-and-so got murdered. It's because of the global respect, because Black man, they're looking at you and the way you handle and deal with your woman and your children. Unfortunately, it's how they value you. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Yes, sisters got to get it together. But let's keep it real. Women do what we think y'all like. We try to show up the way we think y'all like. That's why there's all this fake butts and fake this.
And how many women are having these babies trying to hold on to a man?
Having babies trying to hold on to a man because the men are not honest. I don't know how many brothers have tried to hit me with this poly this and poly that. we're having this polyamorous conversation, but half of the men who are talking that, they have no elder counsel from any elder men who have that experience.
No resources.
You don't know how to
sustain.
manage. You don't have the proper resources. Half the black men in America make $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Facts. So you don't have the resources to sustain that, right? And when you pull your penis out without protection,
You don't have the resources.
You have no more control over that seed.
I thought the penis wasn't enough of the resources.
No, you don't have any control over what the woman does with that seed, right? So if you're doing that, then this could go many ways. And at the end of the day, those children are going to be looking to you as an example of how to be. So how are you showing up? Because women are going to be open and receptive as our nature to whatever the love and the expression of that love that you are bringing to the table. Typically, we're just going to receive. We want your instruction. We want your direction. We want your leadership. But you got to be in tune with divine will. And that means it's including everybody. You don't just walk past a hungry child.
That part.
You don't walk past a child that's out of line. You help and talk to them and put them back in line. We're all one people. That's how the world sees us, and we have to start seeing ourselves that way.
I love it. So for the people who are trying to get out into the world, who want to come on over to Belize or attend one of your retreats, how can we find out more information, and what do you have coming up that we can support?
Awesome. So currently, September the 9th through the 14th, you can go to the supernaturalwomanretreat.com, and you can certainly join me. There are a few slots available where we do an all-inclusive beachfront property 5-star luxury resort where women can come together. I usually don't do more than 25 women, and we come together to do a lot of spiritual work as well as just have a good time and relax and enjoy ourselves. For people who are interested in seeing the country and they want to learn how to move out of the U.S. and maybe go to a place like Belize, there's many, many options. On the lower level, there are people who maybe just want to go for 6 months to a year and stay at a property and get to know and learn and understand the culture. That is an option, and you can reach out to me for that. But also, if you're interested in permanently relocating there and buying land, maybe you want to have some investment properties there. Lots of those options are available to you as well. And I'm involved with several different developers who have lands in the north and in the south of Belize. So you can certainly reach out to me there. You can find me right on Instagram. You can reach out to me through my ahkitaylor.com. You can reach out to me, and we'll be having Zoom classes regularly for people who want to get that information.
I love it, y'all. We will make sure all of the information is in the description below. Make sure you share this episode with a friend. Don't flag me. Do not report me. If you don't like what we talk about, just log off, okay? But if you did like it, share it with a friend. If you happen to be listening to this, leave your girl a review. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. And take it a step further and go ahead and join our private community over on Patreon, because it comes with some pretty bomb perks, including early and discounted access to our upcoming events, behind-the-scene exclusives with some of your favorite guests, the opportunity to call in on an upcoming show, the chance to vote on topics and guests for brand new shows, and I'm even giving you unlimited access to my vault of business classes where I'm teaching you everything from Airbnb to developing digital products and everything in between. And you can get access to our Patreon for as little as $5 a month, okay? Get in where you fit in, and I'll see you on the inside.